But of course, you are a forensic specialist, an anthropologist. Tell us exactly what your work entails.
So I work in the Missing Persons Task Team in the National Prosecuting Authority, and our job involves locating the remains of individuals who were said to be missing during the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And part of our investigative process is actually locating the location of the remains, conducting a physical exhumation of the remains themselves, and once we're happy with the remains, we take them back to our labs where we conduct analysis on factors such as age, sex, manner, or how we think they have died, and trying to get a positive identity for the families.
I can't imagine this was what you always dreamt of doing. How did you end up in this job?
I always wanted to become a pediatrician working with the living until I started university, and we did a semester course in anatomy, and the lecturer gave us a human skull and taught us how to do measurements, and she says, no, and next week come back and tell me, do you have a male or a female and how old you think they are? And I thought to myself, this is what I really love to do. And at the time, our current head, Madeleine Fullard, came to the university to talk to us about the successes of the Missing Persons Task Team. And I just saw things coming together. Like, it was a puzzle. A set of human remains were linked to a person who once lived, and I thought that this really is something I'd love to do in my life.
And this is amazing. On the one hand, you're this brilliant scientist, and I know because Madeleine Fullard sings your praises. On the other hand, there's this very humanitarian aspect to it. How important is that to you?
I think that's more important than the prestige that comes with it, because at the end of the day, we're working with people who have been missing for over 20 years, and being one-on-one with families where we have direct interaction with them, and seeing that your work makes such a big difference to them, I think that's more rewarding than knowing what is in the field itself or the amount of prestige that goes with it.
At the risk of romanticizing your job, I mean, it is obviously something that is strongly required by our society that's healing from the trauma of apartheid. But I understand it's a job where you have to get down and dirty as well. Just tell us what the reality of that is for you on a daily basis.
It's very real. We don't go into our jobs looking like this. we literally get into the grave and we work on our hands and knees with stuff like paintbrushes and toothbrushes, just trying to expose the human remains, and we get dirty, and it's not like they make it out to be on TV.
On CSI.
So, yes, that's it. So it's not the CSI effect, actually. So we actually very hands-on, and we like to maintain that standard of work. So it doesn't matter how dirty you become. It's quite good.
How are you not a little traumatized by some of what you're doing? I mean, you were working on the Gallows Project some time ago that involved South African political activists who were hanged, whose bodies were not given back to their families. Doesn't it take a toll on you emotionally?
I consider myself to be quite strong, and I think that the end goal and seeing the families so happy and looking at them getting closure, it makes everything worth it, that you forget the emotion. Yes, you are human, you feel the pain that they feel, but the joy is overwhelming, I think, and just that smile or the recognition is more than enough, and I think that keeps us going.
There are probably a lot of young South Africans watching this, looking at you and saying, well, she's a doctor. This is totally out of my reach, even though I would like to do this. Is that necessarily true?
I don't think it's untrue or true, because I came from a government schooling system. I went through the system like everybody else, and I just had passion. I knew that this was what I wanted to do, and I just followed that passion, and I don't think it's out of reach for anyone. Just follow your passions. That's all.
That's a great message and a great note on which to end our interview. Thank you so much for coming in to talk to us this evening. Dr. Kavita Lakha, who's just been named one of the Mail and Guardian's 200 young South Africans.